I'm looking for warriors.
Navy SEALs are driven towards something outside of the ordinary.
When it came down to being in the SEAL teams, man, it was just that fascination with the unknown and the fact that the attrition rate was so high, and then everybody said we couldn't do it.
It's a combination of determination, definitely, the man's heart, his drive, his goals.
What we got here, you a quitter, boy? Oh, yeah, I know what's up. Oh, shit, your ass is fleet meat if I ever did see it.
You have to be willing to die for something or someone next to you. How many of us would say, I will die for that person next to me?
Okay, Bubba, we're gonna pick you up, we're gonna take you downstairs.
You're not there for God and country and American flag and all that stuff. You know, you're there to protect your brothers. You will do anything to make sure they can come home to their families. And that means sacrificing your own life. Well, then you're gonna do that, and that's what the brotherhood is really all about.
We're going back out.
Fuck yes.
You can turn on the news and be discouraged by your nation if you want to. I'm not. I know who's got our back, and I know the quality, intellect, and capability of these young men and women, and I'm very encouraged by what we have coming home.
There's just something, a warrior spirit, I believe, inside of all of us, that we just won't quit, and that we're there to prove something to ourselves, prove something to our families, prove something to, you know, our brothers, and that's what makes us SEALs.
They are America's military elite, trained for combat in sea, air, and land. Today's Navy SEALs are the nation's first line of defense for the most difficult assignments on Earth.
I look at the overall military as kind of an area weapon. So its job is to take care of, you know, big problems. Navy SEALs or special operations are a surgical weapon.
The analogy we like to use sometimes is if you got the tip of the spear where the razor's edge.
We're designed to go in to hit specific, you know, cancers, if you would, eradicate them, and then get out unseen, unheard, if possible.
And I'll tell you with absolute conviction that I think we're the finest maritime special operations force in the world.
We're a combat unit, plain and simple. I don't bring teddy bears to kids or any crap like that, man. We go in there for one reason, to destroy.
The difference between a SEAL and a Marine Corps grunt and an Army grunt is not bravery. If you can suffer tremendous pain and discomfort for a long period of time while you're cold and wet, you're uniquely gifted for our environment.
To understand the SEALs, one has to understand the wartime tragedies that led to their creation.
The history of the SEALs dates back to World War II. They were doing a lot of landings where the troops were getting hung up on coral reefs, getting hung up on obstacles, and they were under fire, and these troops were being forced to jump over the sides. They were just getting slaughtered.
And so the UDT and the Scouts and Raiders were formed, which as a way to kind of be the first guys into the beach to navigate the Japs gullies and the mines and all these other things to clear a way for the infantrymen to land.
And it saved a lot of Marines and a lot of Army guys' lives.
So it's just been this great evolution from frogman to what the guys are now.
For generations, Navy SEALs have been guided by a simple set of principles, known as the SEAL ethos.
The central tenet of a SEAL mission is in our SEAL creed. We train to fight, we fight to win.
The SEAL ethos is pretty clear. I will not quit, I will not fail.
The SEAL ethos also includes a promise every man makes to his brothers in arms: no man left behind.
Our history with never having left a man behind, that is bred into you from day one of Buds.
And you say things like no man left behind. We are affirming to ourselves and encouraging each other with how far we'll go for each other. That may give me that little bit of resolve to go a little further because I know you're coming for me.
It gives you the capabilities to do a lot of stuff that you think you normally wouldn't.
Shut up, I'm sorry, man.
For what? What are you sorry for? It's my fault we went on that roof.
Am I gonna die?
Fuck no, Big O's. You're a fucking frogman. Frogmen don't fucking die.
An operation that I did in Afghanistan, I tell you, I kept my sanity because of the fact that I knew they were going to come get me. Dead or alive, they were coming to get me. I knew one way or another my body was going to make it back home.
Those who aspire to join this elite brotherhood are driven by a variety of forces. But there is one common trait that unites them.
What makes a man want to be a Navy SEAL? I've probably asked that to 1,000 kids that have walked in the front door of BUD/S, and across the board, they all say they want to be part of the best.
You know, I was young, I was in 8th grade, and I read this book that said the Navy SEALs were the best. And there was this perfect storm of circumstance. You know, my father asked me, what do you want to be? You know, hey, I want to be the best. And that book said those guys are the best.
You know, you see all the videos, you read all the books about how hard the training is, how hard the lifestyle is, how detrimental it is going to be on your family and your relationships, the deployments, just the total cost and commitment it takes to be a SEAL. And the person that looks at all of that and says, I still want to do it, that is the type of person our community is made up of.
There used to be a couple documentaries that you would see on TV, and I could try to get my hands on every book about Navy SEALs and just to learn what I could about it. That saying, SEALs get paid to take risks, they get paid to die if necessary. They're expendable assets. Sign me up, man.
But before they can become assets, those who yearn to be Navy SEALs must endure the most difficult military training in the world. If torture has a nickname, it is BUD/S.
BUD/S is basic underwater demolition SEAL training. It is one school, one location in Coronado, California, and everybody goes through the same process. And that process really has remained unchanged since the 40s. You know, they have kind of dialed it in.
That's a 6-month program that's designed to weed the weak out, and it does. We take our SEAL troops and our SEAL platoons and we put them into stressful situations, whether it be combat clearance in the house, whether it be sniper training, joint tactical air control, the medics, anything that we do with them, we push it to the limit.
It's a fire hose effect. That's what most of our training is. It's pressure. They want to make sure that they put you under the most pressure they possibly can to teach you something. They don't teach us anything when we're just sitting here like this. That's not how it goes down. Anything and everything we learn that has anything to do with our job and our skill set is done under pressure and chaos and pain and blood.
Since 1942, when BUD/S was started really in Fort Pierce, Florida, less than 20% of every man that's ever tried this program has graduated.
You know, we started with over 200. I think we had more than 250 that started with us, and 12 originals made it through.
You're gonna hit that wall, and then you're gonna have to make that decision whether or not that program is important enough to you to stay. And you'll either make that decision or you won't. And if you don't, there's a bell, we all know. You go ring it 3 times and life goes on.
That is a quitter. You say goodbye, I say good riddance. He quits on you here, he gonna quit in the field of battle. Chick gets hurt, he won't step up, your ass gets shot, he won't pull you out.
You know, Chris said it's a mental challenge mostly to get through BUD/S, because he said your body will do whatever your mind tells it to do. It's just a matter of if your mind is strong enough to say the pain doesn't matter, the fear doesn't matter, all that doesn't matter, your body will perform.
BUD/S is designed to find your one weakness, and then once they find it, they just drive a nail through it.
Obviously, for me, the more cardiovascular elements of our job is something I'm not gifted at. Of course, great, throw logs around, got it. But we run a lot, and I don't like running.
My personal weakness in BUD/S was definitely the cold. I actually weighed about 155 pounds, and the cold definitely tested me. There was many times where I thought my teeth were gonna explode. They were chattering so bad.
The most difficulty I had was in the water. You know, I was really, really good on the obstacle course, had one of the fastest times in my class, and I get into the water to do a 2-mile swim. I'm struggling to barely pass.
Those who survive the initial phase of BUD/S training earn the right to participate in a 5.5-day stretch of pure agony known as Hell Week.
Hell Week is designed to not just weed out the quitters, but to assess you on a non-stop, continuous basis for 5.5 days with no sleep. You will find out exactly who you are as a man, what you're capable of, and you'll learn in that process that there's really nothing you're not capable of.
Sleep deprivation is definitely something that we use to teach our guys during Hell Week, that they can endure that much pain and that much discomfort.
There's something about pushing your body beyond its limits. It takes everybody into a place they've never been. It takes you there physically, it takes you there mentally, and you have to perform.
Anyone on 12 hours of sleep with a full tummy in a warm environment can do anything. It's When you're soaking wet, when you're freezing cold, when your fingers don't work, when you're completely dehydrated, that is when you're supposed to be performing at your best. You tap down and you say, forget about all the extraneous things that are around me. What is my mission and what am I here to focus on? And that's the type of training that that program is.
And it pays off. I mean, many, many times through my career, whether I was diving a submersible in freezing water on a 12-hour dive, or I was humping over some mountain freezing to death, or I was out in the desert in 120 degrees fixing to die, I think back on Hell Week. I mean, that's what it is. It's a benchmark.
There is no formula to determine those who make it and those who wash out.
You can't mold a Navy SEAL. There is no mold. We're not all 6'3", 225 cut-up guys.
In my time there as an instructor, I could never look at a young man and go, that guy's gonna make it or he's not. I was usually wrong most of the time. It could be the skinniest, scrawniest guy you ever seen is your best student, and then the man that looks like he was chiseled out of rock is the first one to run to the bell.
Most of the people who I know who made it through to be a SEAL had no plan B. They didn't say, well, I want to do this, but if this doesn't work, I'll do this. They didn't do that. It was like this or nothing.
The guys who make it are the guys that can stay connected to why they started. My father died when I was young, and I told him this was something I was gonna do. So whatever pain I was feeling at the time, it was just a what, because I knew why I was there.
There was never a time in Buds where I was like, oh, I'm gonna quit. I knew why I was there. The only way they were gonna get me out is if they kill me, if I died.
I know when I went through there, I had a pregnant wife, and every stroke I took on the swim was thinking about my son. My son was born during Hell Week, and that, for me, got me over that pivotal point.
For the few who make it to the end of Buds, graduation day is one of life's milestones.
I'm not one of those kind of guys that gets all sappy and like, this is closure, and I don't believe in all that crap, but I'll never forget it. I'll never forget that day. You knew that you had accomplished something.
Graduating from Buds was a proud day for me. We had about 120 guys in the class. We graduated about 20.
That feeling is incredible. You stand there and you are walking in the footprints of giants.
When you graduate from Buds, you have this incredible moment where you just achieve something, and then you march through line and you shake hands with all these instructors that are already wearing the trident, and they've already been there and done that. And so you realize that you're just beginning to earn the right to walk among them.
The transition from Buds training to joining an actual SEAL team can be a rude awakening.
When you get to the SEAL team, the only one who's impressed that you graduated Buds is you, because everybody there is a SEAL, and you're there to, you know, suit up, show up, and shut the fuck up.
When you finally walk into a team, you're the little guy on the totem pole. All the hard, horrible, dirty, nasty jobs, you get them.
Buds instructors used to say to us in Buds, if you guys think you're miserable now, wait until you get into the SEAL teams. And we used to think that it was total BS, that they were playing head games. We used to look at each other as students and be like, there's no way that being a SEAL is worse than this. And you get into the SEAL teams and you find out it's a lot worse.
I mean, it's chaos and pain. That's what SEAL teams are. Everybody talks about the glory, and civilians do that. Y'all are the ones that put that moniker on us. We don't do that. Because let me tell you something, it sucks. That job is terrible. I mean, you're cold, wet, miserable, and bleeding and broken all the time. But that becomes your life. And you love every second of it. I guess that's what separates us from everybody else, is our ability to live in that life. Live in the pain all the time.
The first time that I knew I was doing something bigger than just a job was in the Northern Arabian Gulf during Desert Storm. We had taken some mortars and some Frog missiles into our camp, and it became real then. And I kind of went from this laissez-faire Navy SEAL with finger quotes around it to realizing that what I was doing was important, and it mattered to me. That's when I felt like I transitioned to actually being a servant of the country.
Everybody who is a SEAL, all they want to do is do real world missions. That's the whole reason of going through Buds. That's the whole reason of being in a unit like that. Is you want to be in combat. You want you want to put your training to the test.
For the current generation of Navy SEALs, the opportunity to put their training to the test came as the result of a single event that changed the world.
I was given 2 lives as a Navy SEAL. And 9/11 is the dividing line between both. Prior to that was Cold War, nothing going on. You know, we had a couple flashes in the pan here and there. And then post 9/11, everything significantly changed. Our operational tempo went through the roof.
Forged in the crucible of BUD/S training, today's SEALs carry on the tradition of their frogmen predecessors, distinguishing themselves in the fire of battle.
The performance level of our young SEALs today is phenomenal. I mean, I had them in Iraq. They were able to come in and integrate into these SEAL teams flawlessly. They were brave, they did their job, they were well trained, and some of our most highly decorated guys were on their first deployment.
While the combat exploits of Navy SEALs are the stuff of legend, the challenges their families face on the home front are no less daunting.
Our spouses, our wives, our kids, they definitely pay a heavy price for what we do. Our divorce rate is pretty high. You know, I'm ashamed to say, but it is. It's probably, if I had to guess, and I'm probably real close, I'd say 8 out of 10.
Not too many marriages stay together. Quite honestly, at the top of my head right now, I can maybe think of 5 women that I've known that have stayed married.
There are wives that stick around. And the way I look at it, the wives that stick around, they are actually could be SEALs. They're badasses. And they don't take any crap from anybody. I mean, they're pit bulls. My wife is about this tall, man, and she will tear your ass up.
If you're gonna be a family man and you're gonna be a Navy SEAL, you've gotta find the right partner that understands what she's signing up for. She can't sign up for the glory. She can't sign up for any reason other than being the wife of a Navy SEAL, because it takes a special person to do that. I've been married 28 years. We got married right after BUD/S. We were very young, both 21 years old.
I didn't even know what a Navy SEAL was. I had this illusion that he was going to be working at SeaWorld. Working with the SEALs.
It's been a rocky road. Been a lot of hills and valleys, and we've had really high times, we've had really low times. And sometimes it's our marriage that's low, and sometimes it's the job that brings our marriage down.
I think the key to a long, successful marriage is that we started out as good friends, and we had a really good foundation. We've known each other since children, and so I fell in love with him for who he was before he was a SEAL.
One of the things that Chris would say about why our marriage lasted was that we both didn't give up at the same time. You maybe all have your moments, if you're really, really honest, where you think, oh, I'm just done, I'm done. But as long as both of you don't agree to that at the same time, then I think you have a pretty good shot of making it.
Like military families everywhere, husbands and wives in the SEAL community must balance their devotion to duty with their devotion to each other.
It is a very hard tightrope to walk between your commitment to your family and your commitment to the SEAL teams.
I think there were times where she wondered who I loved more. You know, my guys in the job and her. And I think it's only just now, 18 years later, when I've been able to articulate and express to her that part of why I wanted to do those things was so that I could protect her. But I married my ring dance day from the Naval Academy, so she was with me and in this from the very beginning. We had to learn to communicate really well, and we had to learn to be patient and graceful for each other, and we also need to learn how to have it out and to hear the other person and know when to listen and know when to talk and know when to trust. And that's what every marriage requires. In the special operations community, you just get it all really fast, really hard, and you got to figure it out.
Gail and I met in junior high school, actually. We had the same homeroom.
I first met Marcus in 7th grade. He walked into the room. Immediately, I noticed him and knew that someday I'd marry him. It was in my diary.
Back then, she was a skinny little runt, and I really didn't pay too much attention to her. But after high school, and we got together and got married when I joined the Navy, and she's been around the whole run.
We were 19 when we got married. Honestly, at that point, I really didn't know what I was getting myself into. I had absolutely zero clue what a Navy SEAL was.
She's been a trooper. She's seen it all. The good, the bad, the ugly. She's hung in there.
I chose to stick it out with him throughout the whole entire time that he's been in the military, because it doesn't matter who you marry or what their job is, it's whether or not you love them and they're worth it.
For military wives, devotion to duty often includes concealing from their husbands the extent of their own concerns.
I did make a concentrated effort to not let Chris know how much I was worrying, because I wanted his focus to be on the battlefield. And I knew him well enough to know that if there was something wrong with me, he would be thinking about it and trying to fix it. You really want them to be as much at peace with their home life as they can possibly be when they're over there fighting.
We know our jobs as wives. We have to be strong for our husbands, because when they're fighting, they don't need us at home being emotional and making them nervous and scared, because otherwise they're not going to be able to do their job right.
I really did not want him to get off the phone in the middle of an argument or worrying about what the kids are doing, and mostly worrying about if I'm okay. I always reassured him that I'm fine, everything is good.
For husbands and wives, the beginning and the end of a deployment can test even the strongest of marriages.
The goodbyes are always hard, and believe it or not, the welcome homes in a lot of ways are harder. My wife would be alone for, 6 to 8 months with the kids, dealing with the house and the schools and the car problems and all the issues that everybody has every day, but she's doing it on her own.
She is the man of the house. And then I come home and I'm like, hey, Dad's home, and now I want to be in charge. And I try to interject my opinion. I try to tell her how things should be. I try to tell her how to run the house. That's where the clashes happen.
You had been through 6 months or longer, some wives went longer, of doing everything on your own. And so when the husband comes back, they're going through their process of returning home, and you're going through a process of trying to accept them coming back, and you're trying to make it work.
It's so difficult to navigate all of those intense emotions. Intensely supportive, intensely loving, strong, but then when your husband comes home, being soft enough to let him be the man of the house and be in control. There's an awkwardness that happens when the couple gets back together after being gone for so long, because you feel like you have all this hot desire for each other, but then just so much has happened.
For SEAL families, the specter of death is an everyday reality that must be faced head-on.
We made sure to expose our kids to both the glorious side of being a Navy SEAL, because there is that, it's very prestigious. But we also took them to the funerals because they needed to understand that aspect as well. Post 9/11, we started losing guys.
And it's very difficult to have someone that's almost family to see them lose their husbands.
Friends of mine, time and time again, we were going to funerals or hearing of deaths, and it really was difficult on the family.
You always think if it happens to their husbands, it can happen to yours.
When reality set in was in 2004, the first war that they went to, and people getting hurt, and seeing the wives that were suffering and the younger wives. That's partly the problem, is watching the younger wives who weren't as experienced as I was suffer and not know what their husbands were going through.
For those SEALs fortunate enough to make it to retirement, life as a civilian presents a new set of challenges.
A lot of guys can't let it go. They can't just hang up their fins. They've got to stay plugged in, either to the camaraderie of being a part of a team, being part of something bigger than yourself, or living on the edge where every day brings another high of jumping out of an airplane or shooting some badass guns, just having a great time every day you go to work.
When he retired, it was difficult to watch him lose his status and that life. And I also was scared because I know he has a lot of energy. He is needing to do something, and just watching him on a day-to-day as he gets up in the morning with no emails, nobody trying to reach him, no job, and just him wondering what he was going to do.
I had my retirement ceremony, said goodbye to all my buddies. We moved back to Texas, and that first 6 months, I pretty much found myself trying to figure out, all right, what are you going to do now? I went from, 110 miles an hour a day, job to pretty much doing projects around the house.
I was ready for him to retire. I was ready to come home to Houston. I was ready to get my house back. But once we got back here, I soon discovered how much I missed my team family and the wives and the camaraderie.
The same things that pissed you off about being in the SEAL teams, you yearn to have back in your life. You come from a community where you're the best of the best. You are the top tier of the military. But when I go to Starbucks now, I'm just the asshole waiting in line like everybody else. And it's difficult to go from having that type of responsibility to having that type of brotherhood, to have that type of team environment, to being on your own where no one around you cares about you.
There's a difference between being here and being home. I got here 10 years ago. I came home many years after.
I was in almost 10 years. It took me about 1.5 years to come down off that ride. And some guys never come down. They can't figure it out.
When I started to look at my transition as the beginning of a new chapter in the same book, then it helped me because I was very proud of who I was. The thought of changing was horrifying to me, but the thought of evolving is more palatable. I can take that more. I'll always be this person. I'll always have done these things. I'll always have been with these men. As long as that part can stay connected to me and intact with who and what I am, then I get excited about what's next.
Whatever the future holds for each man, Navy SEALs' lives are forever shaped by their training and their service.
The experience I've had as a SEAL made me the man that I am today. The way that I try to describe it to anybody that thinks about going through SEAL training is that if your life is a timeline and it's this big, buds will be a dot so small that you won't even be able to see it. But that dot will affect the rest until your heart stops beating.
Going through it and becoming a SEAL and living that life, man, I wouldn't change it for a bit. Nothing, not one piece of it.
Today's Navy SEALs have distinguished themselves at the highest level of military excellence. But each SEAL also knows that he stands on the shoulders of those who came before.
We fight so much better as a nation because of what those guys did. Men are at home with their kids right now because of how they fought.
You just don't want to let those guys down, ever.
To be amongst a group of people that have sacrificed that much and have given so much for God and country, and then to be able to, to walk amongst them and call yourself one, it's humbling.
The heritage in the SEAL teams is deeply embedded in the men that have gone before me. World War II, our Scouts and Raiders, our UDTs, those guys, they set the stage. They carried a very proud tradition, and they passed it to us. And therefore, it translated to me, and I've done that throughout my career to make sure that we don't forget the men that have gone before us, because we're literally living on their reputation. And the young men that are going through buds today, they're gonna live on our reputation. And I believe that those young men going through now, they're gonna learn those tenets, and they're gonna pick that tradition up, and they're gonna carry it on.